Hi guys, how are we doing? Rodin Builds here, and today I'm going to show you how to build your very own brick barbecue, complete with side table. Before we get too far into it, you're going to need a few tools. First off, selection of levels, bricklaying trowel. You're going to want a brick jointer for pointing up your brickwork, a hammer, a bolster for cutting bricks. You're going to want a tape measure for measuring out, a boat level or torpedo level, a nice soft brush to brush off your brickwork, pencil, always keep that behind the ear, and also you are going to need a grill set, your barbecue brick grill set. Now, you don't have to have a barbecue grill set because I have used just an old little grill set that I got for my oven. So if you do have one lying around and you don't want to buy a grill set, then why not make use of it? It works just as well. I will leave links to all of these tools down in the description, and also I will leave a link to the grill set that you can buy down in the description as well, so you can go and check those out before you get going. I must say that they are Amazon affiliate links, so if you do decide to purchase through it, I will get a little kickback, but Amazon gives me that kickback and it costs absolutely no extra to you guys. Okay, without further ado, let's get straight into it. So the first step we need to do is we need to set out the first course of brickwork. You take your baking tray or your grill setup, whichever one you want to use, and make sure that when you put the bricks around it, there's a nice 10 to 15mm gap all the way around, because when you put this in to cook on it, you don't want to have to wedge it in. And on the other opposite side, because we're going to have a nice little table, you want to make sure that your slab or whatever it is you're going to use sits on that nice. I like having a nice little overhang there, just gives it a nice little effect. So we're going to go with that. And you want to ensure that you have two bricks in the middle, like so that this side's going to come higher than the table section. So we need two bricks, one for the slab to sit on and one for the actual barbecue itself to sit on. Now once we've done this, what you want to do is you want to take your pencil and you want to mark out all the way around this so we know exactly where our bricks are going to go. And once you have that all set out, move the bricks out of the way and we're ready to start laying. In regards to the mortar, I would suggest using a 3:1 mix ratio. That means 3 parts sand to 1 part cement. And in the case I've got here, I've added a little bit of black dye to give it a little bit of a different effect. So once it dries, it's going to come up looking like a light grey. It's completely up to you what you want to use. I have a detailed video about how to mix up mortar, so if you are interested in learning a little bit more about that, there is a link in the description. In regards to the bricks, I'm using reclaims. I'm a big fan of rustic bricks, so I've gone with the reclaims. When it comes to bricks, you don't have to worry about buying fire bricks or engineering bricks, because the heat from the barbecue itself gets dispersed very quickly, so it doesn't affect the bricks to the amount where you're going to need engineering bricks or fire bricks. However, if you do wish to use them, then you can go ahead and use those. When you purchase your bricks from the brick merchant, just speak to them about it beforehand if you are unsure, and they will more than happily help you out. As you can see, I've moved the bricks out of the way, ready to get going. Now, you want to place some mortar in between the lines where you have marked out for the bricks to go. I have done some detailed videos on how to lay bricks, so if you are interested in learning more about bricklaying, then I will leave the link to my playlist called Bricklaying for Beginners down in the description. Once you've laid a little bit of mortar out, pop your bricks on top, tap them down, and use a small level to make sure that it is level. Cut off all excess mortar from the bricks and continue round. You want to make sure that all of the beds, this is called a bed, the mortar that you put the brick on is called a bed, and the mortar in between the two bricks is called the perp end, more commonly known as a perp. So you want to make sure that all the beds are the same size as you go round, cutting off the excess as you go, and you just follow that round the whole of the barbecue. I always like to put my hand on the end when you go around a corner, just so that you don't push that brick out of position, because it could come and bite you in the bum later on. Once you laid a few across the back, it's a good idea to get your level, and it's what's called ranging, where you place it through and it will tell you if the line is completely straight. You want a nice straight course of bricks, and that will tell you exactly how straight that line is. And once you have the basis of the first course done, you want to make sure that from side to side, from the two sides, it is completely level, just so that as you go up, you have a nice level barbecue. You don't want it wibbly wobbly all over the place. That's not the technical name for it, but that's what I call it sometimes. And in the centre, we just do exactly the same. And again, check the levels all the way through, make sure that it's correct. That is a fraction high. I also like to check all the way through the front, just to make sure that the bricks don't step back at all. You want to make sure they're all in a nice straight line. And once you're happy with that, that is your bottom course set out. Before we build the next course, we're going to need 2 cuts, 2 half bricks to go on each of the ends. So what I'm going to do is I'll quickly show you how to do that. You're going to need a 2-pound club hammer and a 100mm bolster. Also remember safety glasses. The easiest way of doing it without using a tape measure or anything like that is put your bolster from one end of the brick, bring it in and then twist it round, and that will give you your half brick. Give it a couple of sharp taps on each side. And then straight down on the top. And that should have you your half brick, like so. Nice cut. And you do exactly the same on the other half. And there we go. You have your 2 halves ready to go on the 2 fronts of your barbecue. Don't worry about the middle, because we're going to do exactly the same here. We're going to put a full length brick the opposite way around, and that will give the same effect. So what we'll do is we'll pop these bricks in. Everything is exactly the same way. Make sure you have a nice bed for your brick to sit on. Then you pop it on. But this time, as you go round, you're going to want to check the uprights, like so, with your level, to ensure that everything is plumb. Now when you do this, you want to plumb up the front, like I'm doing here, and then you also want to plumb up either the inside or the outside. Don't try and do both, because bricks vary in size, sometimes quite a small amount, sometimes quite a large amount. So if you try and plumb up both sides, you could be pushing the brickwork both ways and you'll never get it right. So pick a side, the side that is going to be seen the most. Now if this the back side of your barbecue is going to be against the fence, don't worry about that side, plumb up the inside. However, if everyone is going to be looking at the front of your barbecue, or if this is the front of the barbecue, then I would suggest plumbing up the outside. So at this point, this is where you pick to decide which side you want to look nicer, the inside or the outside. In this case, because you're seeing the front, I'm going to plumb up the inside. So you go around the next course and make sure that all of your bricks are what are known as half bond. So the center of each brick is going to be over the top of a joint. For example, like so. That is half bond. So you have the joint below is in the middle of the center of the brick above, and then you just stagger them as you go, and that is called half bond. Now when you come to this section where we have the two bricks next to each other, this is what's known as 9-inch brickwork, and this is what is known as 4-inch brickwork. So when you come to the 9-inch section, which is going to hold our table and obviously our cooker on this side, because this isn't joined in here, you're going to need what are called wall ties. They look something like this. When you buy your bricks from the merchant, they will direct you to the brick ties, and what you need to do is you need to pop these in between. Now the reason you put these in is to hold these two sections of brickwork together, because they're not bonded over like in this half bond fashion. There's going to be a straight joint all the way up the middle. Now this is why you use these brick ties, so that it doesn't wobble all over the place. Nice, ties it in nice and strong so that you don't have to worry about your barbecue falling over. That is why we put those in, so I'll continue through till we get to the end. So these are the first two courses of our brick barbecue. As you can see, I have alternated the bond. It's called, like I said, half bond. So if you go up from here, go up 8 courses, I would suggest, and then we can start talking about how the bricks are going to go in to hold up our table and also our grill set as well. So what I'll do is I'll come back to you once I've built up 8 courses, and then we'll go from there. While you're building up your barbecue, as you go along, you want to make sure that you point up as you go, because on a warm day like today, the mortar can go off quite quickly. So I'd suggest using a pointing tool, and you just go over, you do all of the beds first, left to right or right to left, it doesn't really matter. So you point up all of the beds first, making sure that you infill any little holes that you do find with mortar, and as you go along, just keep doing that along, and then once you have done the beds, you go along and you do the perps afterwards. Again, ensuring that you have all of those little holes filled up if you do come across any. I have done an in-depth video about how to point up, so if you would like more detail about it, then there will be a link, like I said earlier, down in the description to the Bricklaying for Beginners playlist. You can pop over there and have a little look, see if any of that tickles your pickle. And there we go. I'll run around and finish the rest of the pointing, and then we'll get on and I'll show you how to get your little grill tray in there. Right, so once you've pointed up your brickwork, just use your trowel, cut off any excess mortar, leave it about 10-15 minutes, then with a nice soft brush in circular motions, just brush any excess residue off, and that will give a nice finish to your brickwork. And also what you can do is, once you have gone over with a brush, give it another little go over with your pointing tool, just to finish that up really nicely. Get any of those brush strokes out of that mortar that could have been left there, and that will finish that up beautifully. But if you like a more of a rustic finish, then just leave it with the brush strokes in it. All depends how you want it to look once you've finished. When we come to put our tray in, there are 2 ways you can do this. You can either, one, take some of the wall ties we used earlier to tie in our brickwork, and all you do is you bend them into U-shapes, and what you do is you put them in the muck like so, like that, and then your tray will simply sit on top of that, and you'll do exactly the same a couple of courses up for your grid to sit on. Grid, great to sit on, so you can go that way. Or, now personally I'd prefer this way because you don't see any bricks jutting out, but the additional way you could do it is you could lay some bricks along like so on either side, and that way you can have your tray sitting on top of those. but I don't particularly like this method because you have the bricks sticking out and I think it looks a little bit unsightly. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to use the wall ties and show you that method, but there is this method as well if you do decide to use it. In this particular case, I have to put a cut in here because the size of our barbecue area is smaller than 3 bricks. So I'm just going to mark that and give that a quick cut. That is actually a different brick because the one I was cutting broke in half. So I had to cut a different one. Make sure your joints are filled up nicely. And again, let's check everything's level. Lovely. This will be where our tray sits for our coals. From here on up, we want our grill to do exactly the same thing. So we're going to use the wall ties on every course up, probably for the next 2 courses. And then that way you can have different heats, so you can just move your grill to different heats and cook things however you want to cook them. So we'll put up another 2 courses with a few wall ties in it, and then we'll put the table on the side. And there we go guys, there is the finished article. I have put on the Indian sandstone side table and also finished the top of the barbecue off with a little bit of Indian sandstone as well. I think it's come up absolutely beautiful. You can have a bit of storage under there for your coal or anything like that, and just go mad with it. You can experiment. You can have another table on this side. You can have multiple levels. You can have 2 barbecues, maybe even a pizza oven. You can have a whole outside kitchen all coming from this. So there we go. Hopefully you have enjoyed that. Hopefully you have learned how to build yourself a little barbecue, and now that the summer's coming in, hopefully you can get out there, get yourself a nice barbecue built. And there we go, we'll leave it there for today. So please do leave a like down below if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you aren't already. Ring that notification bell to be notified every time I upload a video. And I will see you guys in the next one. So take care and see you then. Ta-ra.